We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center.
Ladies and gentlemen,
in the heart of the resistance.
It's official. The AG
Rallying Patriots
is criminally investigating Hillary for being a Russian spy.
You're listening to the Alex Jones.
The whole house of cards is coming down. But first, let's get to this key report where YouTube admits massive censorship.
YouTube is admitting that they've altered the algorithm and are using human curators to manipulate the search results for certain topics so that the videos that show up as the top results are from mainstream media channels instead of independent channels, no matter how popular the videos that they produce are. The way that YouTube used to work is that when you searched for a topic, the top search results used to be videos not with the most views, as most people think, but videos with the most watch time, meaning that when somebody clicks on a video, and if they keep watching it, it starts racking up the amount of time that people are watching it. And that sum total adds up to the total watch time, showing that the video is what the people are searching for, not if they just find a video and click off of it immediately because it's deceptive or some clickbait title or something. So the videos used to be relevant to the search, or videos that were relevant to the search that people liked watching. But now YouTube is admitting that they've altered the algorithm after searches are turning up videos about conspiracy theories. In fact, my friend Gary Franchi over at the Next News Network sent me the screenshot of some of his analytics showing his video directly being affected by this algorithm. This chart here is the amount of views per hour that his video was getting over a 48-hour period. And so this is about 3,000 views per hour, just chugging along, drops a little bit there. This is probably, early in the morning, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, starts to pick up again here. And then all of a sudden, boom, such a steep drop-off, which can really only be explained by some change in the algorithm. And just lo and behold, we have YouTube admitting that they changed the algorithm to then favor major news network channels. James O'Keefe's Project Veritas recently did an undercover investigation into YouTube, and they got a YouTube employee who is the lead brand and diversity curator to admit that they are censoring independent channels in favor of mainstream news outlets.
So what about the algorithms? Can you do something with that to say less of that?
Realistically, that's what that news carousel kind of does. So it's above the search results. So at the very least, we can say that this shelf of videos from news partners is legitimate news because we know that these are legitimate news organizations. And if at that point somebody decides they're going to scroll past that and go find Alex Jones, well, they were looking for him to begin with anyway.
We can't have people finding Alex Jones videos too easily. We have to bury those at the bottom of the search results. By the way, did I mispronounce this person earlier in my video? I didn't mean to. That's a crime in California now. And I don't want to get fined or go to jail for calling this thing a guy. By the way, this person's job title is literally Brand and Diversity Curation Lead at YouTube, which gives us quite a bit of insight into the manipulation that's going on at YouTube and who's doing the manipulating. Gee, I can't imagine why we have so many conservative videos getting censored on YouTube, getting demonetized, and getting removed for violating the community guidelines when there are people like this making the decisions. By the way, here's the same person during a different part of Project Veritas's investigation. It looks like they're at a different location, different day, wearing a different sweatshirt. And look at this. The sweatshirt says Google printed on the sleeve, and it looks like it also says Black Lives Matter printed on the front. This whole fake news witch hunt that the mainstream media launched immediately after the election last year has primarily been focusing on Facebook. Oh, fake news is spreading through Facebook. But they're now focusing on YouTube, and they hate us, and they want us taken down. Here's an article from BuzzFeed, how YouTube serves as the content engine of the internet's dark side. Everybody knows that Twitter and Facebook spread bad information and hate speech, but YouTube, which pays for conspiracy theories seen by millions, may be even worse. By the way, this article came out just only a month before the YouTube adpocalypse, the advertising apocalypse, when YouTube just took their advice and demonetized most news channels.
Folks, and it's a lot worse. The Democrats have openly announced a plan to sue InfoWars out of operation by the end of next year. We're going to expose that. We have all their documents. Please stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the 18th day of October, 2017 on this Wednesday edition. We are reaching record numbers of people every day across the planet, all part of our amazing human race, despite the admissions of major governments, major corporations, major bureaucracies to censor InfoWars and yours truly and our team. And that means censor you and your will and your support for this broadcast, because we are seen by the globalists as the heart, as the spirit, as the Bible of resistance to their globalist operations. And instead of just blowing me up in a car bomb, which would turn me into a martyr, they are trying to destroy who I am and who InfoWars is by building straw men and straw women that do not represent us, that are facsimiles, and then advertising that fraud and then discrediting that fraud and destroying that fraud, not the real McCoy, not the bona fide real deal. We are witnessing a private corporate world government openly at war with the nation state and all forms of independence, all forms of freedom, the family. This is their stated goal. And they've gone from denying it's their goal, building it in the shadows, to now openly coming out and saying it is their sworn operation and their sworn directive to attack Christians, to attack the West, to create cultural and racial divides, to medicalize the population through medical tyranny, to deindustrialize and make the population completely dependent, to move people also away from the farms and ranches, and to make us completely domesticated and controlled. We are facing 21st century high-tech eugenics-based technocracy. Terms like deep state, shadow government, false flag, all of these are terms I popularized on this broadcast that are now household terms and words. I'm not giving myself credit. Listeners, though, need to understand what you're watching and what you're listening to is what the enemy fears. And that's for a very important reason. We understand the globalist operation. We've simply studied their own program and their own operation, and we know that if we expose that it's horribly anti-human, extremely authoritarian, viciously greedy, and hateful and covetous of information and freedom, and that it seeks to enslave humanity and seeks to break us down into biological artificialities. You see, it's not like Blade Runner where humans create a race of superhumans to serve them. This is where the elites who've never been able to capture and fully control humanity biologically turn us into artificial biological facsimiles of what we were through genetic engineering, through the GMO, through the vaccines, through the culture, through the food, through the water, through the programming, until we are no longer human and need them to exist, making them masters artificially over humanity by removing our humanity. It's the only way they can conquer free will. And we see every metric, the cancer, the neurological disorders, the gut disorders, the skin disorders, every new disease popping out every week, the life expectancy plunging, infant mortality exploding, diabetes, type 1 and 2, up multi-thousand percentage points. Pediatric cancers up over 20,000+%. Many are 10,000, but some are over 20,000% up. It is a biological holocaust. And the globalists divert you from all their real biological and chemical holocaust by claiming they want to carbon tax carbon dioxide and, they're going to sue your company because your clothes have 20 times less lead in them than an apple does or kale does. But then they're going to spread HIV and hepatitis and all the rest of it, forcibly putting into the blood supply. I'm talking about California. You want to know the future? Look at Sweden, look at California, look at Germany, look at the UK, look at all the programming, and that's the future they've got in store for all of us. Bottom line, they're coming for you and your family. Look at the Washington Post headline. California makes it a misdemeanor to kill somebody with HIV. Let's continue, ladies and gentlemen. This is a hate letter to humanity. This is a global takeover. This is total and complete bloodthirsty domination, all posing with a simpering NPR voice meant to put you into a trance. Everything they do is about putting you into a trance, having you sleep, give in your will, simply turn on the Netflix, drink another beer, sleep. Don't worry about it today. Let us run things. Talk like we talk. Use only the words we say. Join our cult. Everything will be okay. Come on in. The water's fine. Sleep. Everything we do is about awaken. The sleeper must awaken. The giant must awaken. Look around you. You're being forced into an artificial matrix system. So that's the big challenge we're up against. But it's the animating contest of liberty. And that's why they hate us, because it came out in the Wall Street Journal yesterday. I meant to cover it. I didn't. I noticed Posobiec covered it. Please print me the Wall Street Journal. George Soros, the admitted Nazi collaborator, who CNN says is not a Nazi collaborator, talk about next level fake news, and then I made it up, even though he's on 60 Minutes saying it, normally gives here in the United States every year about $500 million from swindles he's engaged in bankrupting economies all over the world. And he admittedly gave over $1 billion of his swindled money. He's just a front guy for intelligence agencies. To the State Department, $5 billion to overthrow the elected government of Ukraine and start a civil war there. He also funded part of the Arab Spring. But he's just one of the top generals of this satanic order. He is now transferring $18 billion to his foundation to directly battle the American people and nationalist movements worldwide. And he says it. There's the headline. George Soros transfers $18 billion to his foundation, creating an instant giant. Now, what are they doing simultaneously on every so-called late-night comedy show? Claiming that I'm a snake oil salesman and that all our products are pure crap, even though most of them are private label, the very ones sold by Jeff Bezos at Whole Foods, that all the leftist watchdog groups completely leave alone. And they're openly calling for my arrest and Gwyneth Paltrow's arrest. They picked her out as a liberal figurehead so it wouldn't look as political when they try to have us both arrested, which is ongoing, admittedly, right now. Simply because they don't want us to get millions of dollars at InfoWars to then fund this operation to fight the $18 billion of a foreign Nazi collaborator. A literal monster creature that funded the radical Arab Spring to murder women that were going to college, murder gays, murder priests, blow up hundreds of churches in Syria and in Egypt alone, mass murder everywhere. This is how they operate. So his $18 billion of filthy money is to run lawsuits, and is to go after the NRA, and is to go after InfoWars, and is to go after the free press, and is to lobby Congress, and is to overthrow nation states. That's the admitted Open Society's main program. But it's all philanthropic. See, he puts his dirty money from everything you can imagine, currency speculation, and it goes on with all his insider knowledge from the globalists, to overthrowing countries and smashing the Trump revolution. Because you can say what you want about Trump, but at least he's trying to be the president, and you know him by all his authoritarian enemies. The Hollywood director, Rick Linklater, came out and said, you know, Alex has always been anti-establishment, anti-power structure. I don't know why he's pro-power structure. Pro-power structure, we have the whole global power structure coming down against America, and our desperate attempt to just at least get control of our government again. That's why they hate Trump, because he believes America should be run by America. Is he perfect? No, but he's an American, and I stand with him. I stand with you, and we'll never back down. Okay. Next segment, I'm going to get into the big enchilada. The house of cards is falling in a spectacular way of Robert Mueller covering up the activities of the Clintons and the Democratic Party in a giant orgy being paid off by the Communist Chinese, the Russians, and others. And we have Attorney General Sessions in the Judiciary Committee today reporting that he is looking in a criminal investigation of Hillary for basic espionage against this republic. Now, we have Mueller transferring uranium illegally in a bag to the Russians. We have the Democratic Party, most of them getting $10, $15, $20, $30 million apiece. I mean, the high-level Democrats were all getting paid off by the Russians. That's what governments do. And we're wide open to espionage in this country via the Democratic Party. They've always been the ones that have been working with the Russians. They helped put the Bolsheviks in 1917 and visited that social engineering hell on the Russians they now want here. People keep going, this is like what they did in Russia. Why is it so similar? And why is Russia fighting it? Because they already got the face sucker after 80-plus years off their face, partially. Yes, the New York liberals funded the Bolshevik Revolution. That's public. That's in the Encyclopedia Britannica. The left doesn't play games. They'll butcher you and your family. They get a chance. As long as you're Christian, they want to get you in that FEMA camp and stomp your guts out. I'm not saying that rhetorically. The average leftist wants to literally murder you and your family, and we now all see it. They hate America. They hate God. They hate working. They're just a bunch of litigious, devil-worshipping scum that hate you because you're strong, you're honorable, you're good-looking, and you got what they don't have, a conscience and a connection to God. And they're not going to stop till they've sexualized every one of your children and until they've wrecked your whole society and until they've broken down everything and until they've bankrupted the country. So just remember that. They want to shoot you up with as much lead and mercury as they can. They want to brain damage your family. They want to see you absolutely sterile and dying of cancer so they can suck all the money out of you. And they're never going to quit because they're the enemy. They will not coexist with us. They want to just absolutely rape everything. And they hate my guts because I know who they are. And now I realize even their low-level supporters are actually in on it. They were never liberals. They were always fake. They always had a plan. They don't coexist. They will absorb you and destroy you because they have envy. If you're a good person, they spiritually hate you. Now, coming up in the next segment, we're going to go over all of it. It's huge. It's so important. Here's a brief clip of the Attorney General saying, yeah, they're criminally probing Hitlery. Here it is.
I'd like to remind you that Deputy Attorney Rosenstein directly supervised the criminal case when he was U.S. Attorney in Maryland. I don't think it would be proper for him to supervise a review of his own conduct, do you?
It would be his decision. He's a man of integrity and ability. If he feels that he has a inability to proceed with any investigation, it would be his responsibility to make that determination and should consult, as I told you I would, and as I have done with the senior ethics people at the department.
Reports suggest that the Clinton Foundation received millions of dollars from interested parties in the transaction. Bill Clinton received $500,000 for a speech in Moscow, June 2010, from the Russian government-aligned bank. The same month as the speech, Russia began the uranium acquisition process. This fact pattern raises serious concerns about improper political influence on the process by the Clintons during the Obama administration. Has the Justice Department fully investigated whether the Russians compromised the Obama administration's decisions to smooth the way for transactions? And if not, why not?
Mr. Chairman, we're working hard to maintain discipline in the department. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to comment on any ongoing investigation.
Wouldn't be proper for me to comment on any ongoing investigation. They're investigating Hillary. Now, where did you hear about Uranium-1? Where did you hear about Podesta's time in the barrel was coming? Right here, last year, early in the campaign, early in 2016, and then suddenly Roger Stone and I, we were the Russians because we were the dutiful, dog-like, hound-like, patriot Americans going after the foreign manipulation. Now, the only reason Russia's coming up is because they accuse Trump of it and there's no evidence the Clintons are involved. Russia is nothing compared to the Chinese communists. I mean, the Chinese communists have basically taken over Hollywood, the mainstream media, half the Democratic Party. I mean, we are under deep espionage by the Chi-Coms. I'm not defending what Russia's done. We've exposed it. But it's all coming out now. How beautiful is that? And Mueller, of course, has been viciously going after Trump because he knows he's involved as a bagman with the Clintons and his law firm and the companies he's involved with personally getting the Russian money. And most of it's secret and covering up for the Clintons and blocking the investigation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, because we're willing to break this first and force it out, so a year and a half later, you're now seeing it in the news. We're the target. They have congressional hearings. They keep saying the vector is InfoWars. The vector is Jones. The vector is Drudge. They know the vectors. They know who keeps injecting truth, who is patient zero for the disease of liberty and awakening that will bring down their filthy tyranny. But they see us as a disease. So that's why you need to commit to financially support us and buy the T-shirts, the books, the videos, the supplements, all of them, and sign up for AutoShip and get an additional 10% off on the already great deals to commit because we're under massive attack all over the places you see and behind the scenes. I'm not going to get into it at this point, but I will, by governments. State governments, federal, you name it, stay-behind networks, globalist, disinfo squads, infiltration operations, you name it. We are the American Republic. We are the resistance, and we don't get Soros money from bankrupted, overthrown countries and Arab Springs, that murderer funds, that Nazi piece of garbage. We're funded by you, and if you'll fund us, I guarantee you this pledge, I'm never giving up, and I'm going to ram these people right back to hell. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live. Let's jump right into news that for our listeners and viewers is a year and a half old. It was February 2016. We first wrote articles and did live video/radio reports breaking down the previous FBI investigation under Robert Mueller before Comey came in of the Clintons selling out to Russia. Uranium deals, you name it. Gazprom, gas and oil deals. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars to their foundation. Not just the millions total in speeches they gave in Moscow. Now imagine if Trump was giving uranium on the tarmac of some of the strongest, purest uranium ever discovered to the Federal Security Bureau, the FSB, or the equivalent of the Russian KGB / FBI. They wear both hats in the FSB, former KGB. Imagine if Trump was giving uranium in a silver James Bond-style briefcase to them for Hillary Clinton. That's mainstream news. And then the same Mueller, years later, comes in as a special counsel, really a prosecutor, and only goes after Trump and says, oh my gosh, Trump's son met for 10 minutes with a lady claiming that she had proof that Hillary was paid off by Russians. Of course the campaign was looking into that. They better be. But they didn't need to meet with her. It was in the New York Times in 2015. We've already covered this, but what's the big news? Now, in the Hill report and others, and Hannity breaking it down, one of the few good outlets left on Fox, we have the documents. We have the witnesses. We have the FBI reports that were given to Mueller and then to Comey that were completely and totally killed because Mueller's law firm and companies that Mueller sits on the boards of are heavily invested with state-run mining and energy companies and gas companies and, wait for it, defense companies in Russia. And it's in the FBI investigation. Hillary, as the Secretary of State, was signing Waivers, just as Tosh Plumlee told us on air. Let's get Tosh back on. Former CIA contractor, very famous, even involved in the Bay of Pigs. Tosh Plumlee said, look, it's all about Hillary and the import-export bans that the State Department has. She's operating her own government under Obama, he said. This was the start of Obama's second term. And they are the ones flying the weapons in and out of the U.S. all over the world, and Fast and Furious was part of a weapons program into Mexico, into the Middle East, to fund the Arab Spring that started 5 years ago. Everything Tosh Plumlee told you was completely classified directly from NATO and the CIA and the Army. And a shadow group in the shadow group battling against this sellout of the country. They death threatened him. The Justice Department called him. They threatened us. We moved forward. And I'm not telling you, hey, aren't we great? I'm explaining to you that we've done what nobody else will do. We have executed on every cylinder. We have told you the truth. We have over-delivered because we're not giving in to the globalists. But you need to understand, they are coming after us with censorship and control and behind-the-scenes stuff that I'm not ready to get into yet, openly to shut us down, you name it. And I'm just going to stop right there. So we need your prayers, and we need your financial support, and we need you more than that to spread the articles and the videos and get around the censors and the blocking on Google and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Hand deliver the stories. Print them off. Download the videos. Have your neighbors over. Show them. You can show them Google executives saying, #1 goal, stop Alex Jones. Because they know who blew them wide open on the devil worship child molestation stuff that they had to then change the subject on and claim we'd retracted, totally made up. Who blew them wide open on the Russia issues? Who blew them wide open over and over again? InfoWars and our platform of guests, people like Colonel Schaefer and Dr. Corsi and Matt Drudge, who came here exclusively almost 2 years ago and laid out everything to you that was going to happen in the next few years from a high-level Supreme Court justice and other people who've been even higher in the government. And I'm going to stop right there. We've had sources at the highest levels of this plan because there were people who weren't perfect, but they weren't out to get America, and they didn't want to bankrupt the country, and they didn't want to transfer our power to communist China. They're the globalists selling the country out, and they know we're awake, they know we're informed, and they're scared. When we come back, I'm going to play a boil down of the Judiciary Committee hearings and then excerpts of Hannity last night where they did break a lot of new info, but confirming everything we told you 19 months ago. Everything that we broke down here, no wonder they called us Russian spies. What are you going to do when you're on tarmacs with uranium illegally for Hillary, transferring it to the Russians, and then Hillary's doing deals selling out 1/3 of our uranium to Uranium One? What are you going to do when you're the international globalist selling out nation states to the highest bidder, actual traitors? What are you going to do? You're going to blame your enemies, the American people, for what you are. We're the people getting us out of TPP. We're the folks getting us out of globalism, unelected groups. We're the patriots fighting to get the jobs back, to take care of the veterans, to cut the taxes, to get the economy going, to stabilize the republic, to cut the size of the federal government. And we're delivering because you, the American people of every race, color, and creed who are just one race, red-blooded humans, understand what's happening and understand what the elite's doing. And know when you see the whole mainstream media against somebody, you know they're the establishment, and you know who they're attacking's the good guys. And you know we're fighting as hard as we can right here with you. But you better understand, there's a civil war in this country right now in information warfare. They're trying to start a physical one to beat up and attack and intimidate everybody so that we supposedly back down and give up. Let me tell you something. I got so much energy fighting you people that I absolutely love it that I'm enemy #1 next to Trump. My only frustration is that I can't execute good enough to take you down, and I'm not strong enough or smart enough to get you faster. I'm so angry at myself for not doing more and not being stronger. Because I've seen every angle they got coming, and I usually don't even execute on it when we'd have total victory if I started truly executing. But I swear before God on the altar of liberty, eternal resistance to you, to quote Thomas Jefferson, and I ask God to take full control of me and help me do a better job. We'll be back. Stay with us. Was down but not out, and is now awakening to the unelected global government that's been set up by a bunch of ruthless, psychopathic devil worshippers. And it's all going to come out. In fact, reportedly, Julian Assange coming up in just a few weeks is going to drop the motherlode hammer on Mueller and all of his Russian collusion. So get ready for that. He kept waiting to see if Mueller would drop the made-up Trump investigation and actually go after the Clintons, but he hasn't, so that's all going to be coming, reportedly. According to our boffins at 4chan, have been proven to be about 1,000 times more accurate than CNN. But look at these tweets from El Presidente, Donald John Trump, the guy that would never be president. Wow, FBI confirms report that James Comey drafted letter exonerating crooked Hillary long before investigation was complete. We told you that a month ago. I just love how mainstream media always sits on stuff. You literally get news here days, weeks, months, or years, or decades before. I mean, it's just true. That's why they hate us. Because, see, we'll put it out there first when we have the documentation. Or other great researchers will have them on. We're just a big focal point of human intelligence. And then it builds and builds and then forces out mainstream. I mean, that's why they hate us. And I just keep telling you that because they're coming after us, folks. They're coming after you. They're coming after anybody that stands up for you when you stand up with us. Here's Trump. People not interviewed, including Clinton herself. Comey stated under oath that he didn't do this, obviously, a fix. Again, Comey stated under oath that he did not do this, but he did. It's obviously a fix. Where is the Justice Department? These are Trump's tweets last night. As it has turned out, James Comey lied and leaked and totally protected Hillary Clinton. He was the best thing that ever happened to her. And he lied and said that he didn't leak the memos, but he did. And then he lied about what was in the memos. I mean, of course, they're a pack of literal criminals colluding with Russia, China, and everybody else, selling us out to the TPP that would have more power than Congress. Rick Linkletter is in the Daily Beast article asking famous director, friend of mine, I wouldn't even call him Hollywood, he's Austin. He's a good director, smart guy. He's like, I don't know why Alex was always anti-establishment, but now he seems to be pro-establishment. Pro-establishment, you've got the whole global government, the mega banks, the power structure, trying to stop Trump from jump-starting the economy. Trump's like a medic with defibrillators, trying to shock my heart back. He could be a bank robber. I'd still want him to turn my heart back on, but he's not. Trump is a champion. Trump is demonized. Thousands of lawsuits against him. Death threats. His whole family's under attack. And I am a fellow traveler. I am experiencing what Trump is experiencing to a lesser degree. And it makes me absolutely see him as a kindred spirit. We are brothers in arms in the battle for America in the Second American Revolution. So you bet, Rick Linkletter, who said nice stuff about me in the article. They tried to get him to do a hit piece. He's promoting his new film. And they're saying, why'd you put him in movies? You know, was he like this before? Like this before, I was anti-establishment because the globalists were in full control. This is our counter-revolution. This is us trying to take the flag back, and we're having victory. It's a total war. This isn't hype, folks. Look around you, what's going on. This is epic. And we're winning every special election. Libertarians are taking the Republican Party over. Our vision that we launched 10 years ago with the Tea Party to take over the Republican Party is happening. It's unfolding. We're promoting an ideology that's popular and sexy and successful. We're promoting 57 Chevys and Marilyn Monroe against a North Korean or Venezuelan model. We're going to win if we execute prosperity. The only problem is, can you handle all the success? Can you handle all the choices? Can you handle it? Or we let a bunch of outside globalist scum come in and take it all over? So Trump's calling Comey a liar. He is a liar. Senate Judiciary Committee probe into Obama Russian nuclear bribery case is criminal. The Hill. Boom. Attorney that worked with Mueller says Mueller hid Russian bribery scandal from Congress, must resign now, was a corrupt attorney. Sean Hannity discusses Uranium One scandal with Sarah Carter and John Solomon. Trump hits back at McCain. Be careful. At some point, I fight back. I think God's already fighting back against old John McCain. That's all coming up. But right now, let's go to this compilation of Hannity and the Judiciary Committee where the Attorney General saying Hillary is under criminal investigation. Let's go ahead and go to that clip.
Democrats are concerned that Russia's tampered with our election results in 2016. Well, 6 years before that, they tampered with our nuclear security. The case proved that the Russia's nuclear industry had bribed their way and compromised the American trucking company that moved all of Russia's uranium in the United States. That's a national security threat. And for 2 years, the Obama administration, Hillary Clinton, and everybody who's been quoted has said the Obama administration had no knowledge of a national security threat, and that's why they didn't have any problem approving the Uranium One deal. Well, guess what? Tonight, we have a real national security threat that was proven in real time in 2009, and it's going to be interesting to see what Congress does. Tomorrow morning, Chuck Grassley has a hearing with Jeff Sessions on the seat, and I think you might see some interesting questions asked.
I want to ask a question that looks like history, but it was in the news recently, yesterday, I believe. According to government documents and recent news reports, the Justice Department had an ongoing criminal investigation for bribery, extortion, and money laundering into officials for the Russian company making the purchase of Uranium One. That purchase was approved during the previous administration and resulted in the Russians owning 20% of America's uranium mining capacity. What are you doing to find out how the Russian takeover of the American uranium was allowed to occur despite criminal conduct by the Russian company that the Obama administration approved to make the purchase?
Mr. Chairman, we will hear your concerns. The Department of Justice will take such actions as is appropriate, I know. And I would offer that some people have gone to jail in that transaction already, but the article talks about other issues. So without confirming or denying the existence of any particular investigation, I would say I hear your concerns and they will be reviewed.
And this is stunning that the Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder, hid the information. He knew about the bribery, the kickbacks, the extortion, the money, and he also knew, as well as Hillary, and had to sign off, along with Hillary Clinton, on the deal, even though that we know that they're trying to influence every aspect of our security and get control over America's uranium. They still allowed the deal to go through?
Well, and these are many of the same players, right? You had Rod Rosenstein. Rod Rosenstein then was head of this investigation when he was in Maryland, looking at the trucking company. And remember this,
that's right.
You have a trucking company that's moving American uranium that is involved in bribery,
he's the one that puts Mueller in to take down the president.
All kinds of issues, and they're moving a national security asset, uranium. And you have Andrew McCabe, who's the deputy director of the FBI now, who was also charged with that investigation.
These people
so there's
are
a lot
literally
of questions here still.
Mueller involved in this?
Yes, and Mueller, who was in charge then.
How does he
of the
investigate
FBI.
himself? So we got Mueller having to investigate his boss now, Rod Rosenstein, who also, and Andrew McCabe of the FBI, and probably James Comey. They all knew about this.
That's exactly what we're looking at.
Hit pause for a moment. Back up a few seconds. You notice what's happening. This is going to hurt the country in many ways when this all comes out. So they held back. And they're still trying to put Trump and his family in prison or overthrow him, saying they're Russian agents when there's no connections. And you've got the Democrats weren't Russian agents. They were just pimping us like America was a whore for $2 out to whoever'd buy it. I mean, these are like pimps that got 50 Johns out the door, and the Johns are putting cigarettes out on the woman's face, kind of last leg before they shoot the woman in the back of the head and throw her in the river. And that's how the globalists were treating America. And now they're so angry and so upset that the sleeping giant finally woke back up and threw these monsters off of us. And we're stumbling out the hotel room door, hoping we can find our family somewhere down the road after we just got gang raped by 10,000 dudes. And CNN and all of them are pissed because they hate us. They wanted to degrade us and bring us down, just like they want to sexualize your children. They get off on it. Now, financially support us. We've got some of the biggest sales ever that are absolutely about to end. 50% off Brain Force. We've got 50% off on some other products, Anthroplex, never done that before. 30% off Super Male Vitality, 10% additional off when you sign up for auto ship, free shipping at InfoWarsStore.com on orders of $8 or more. But just commit to financially support us because the globalists absolutely hate it, and we're going to defeat them and crush them if you keep supporting us. So fund us now.